I got to visit a high-end motion picture film processing facility that develops, scans, and processes the film negatives for your favorite Hollywood blockbuster movies. You can say this is the mecca of film cinematography. Let's get it. What you are watching here is footage I shot from a Super 8 camera on Kodak Vision 3 200T film. The images on these negatives are tiny, but with modern scanning technology, look at how crispy and full of character these images are. Modern filmmaking is the perfect blend of old school tech and the latest visual engineering. This is dope, right? What's old is new again. Lots of people, amateurs and professionals alike, are picking up old motion picture film cameras and running modern-made film through them. The visual impact of these images is undeniable. This all brings us to a company named CINELAB. They are a full-service professional motion picture film house that can do it all. Every single step of the process can be managed here. Many thanks to their team for allowing me to visit and giving me a tour. Step 1 is film processing. Exposed film is sent to them from all over the world by courier, and the fun begins here.
So what do we got here? What kind of machine are we looking at?
So this is a photometric processor machine, ECN2. It does formats 8mm, 16mm and 35mm colour neg.
Yeah.
It runs at up to 100 feet a minute.
Yeah.
So you have your feed in, so the neg will come in, straight from the camera.
Yep.
What we do is we take it off into our darkroom.
That's small. Oh no, there's a whole room on the other side.
Yeah, there's a whole room on the other side.
Okay.
where we join all the rolls together to create what we call a lab roll.
Okay.
We then drop one of those into here, and these are light type mags. So once the film's inside, all we'll have sticking out is what we call leader, which is the white stuff down there.
Gotcha.
So
this is all just like waste product.
Waste product, yeah. So basically, we'll put the film on one of these, and we wind all the camera neg on top of it.
Yep.
And on the outside, we put another one, a few arm lengths.
Gotcha.
On the other side. So basically, when you bring the mag out of the dark room, you'll have the film hanging out. So none of the film can get exposed to light.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then what you do then? That goes up here. I can't actually put it on at the moment because he's running. That locks in there. And then what we do, I might open it, Clive. We then join the strand that we have here through to this one, and then you have a continuous process through the machine.
Gotcha.
So feeding on, so everything here is light tight.
Yep.
So the machine runs with compensators. So this end, am I okay to open this, Clive? So this end we have an elevator. So when the film runs out, this goes up.
Gotcha.
Okay, and it gives you time, goes all the way to the top, so it gives you time to put another one on, which then brings it back down again.
So we just keep this running.
So it's a continuous process.
Gotcha.
The same happens this end. This end, when Clive takes the roll off, this compensator goes down, which gives him time to take it off and then start another roll. So what you've got here is you've got raw stock going in.
Yep.
Going up here, come up and I'll show you. Going through the process, it goes through the different chemicals, so it's coming in through the magazine, through the elevator.
Starts here and then basically right to left.
Yeah, up through the light trap.
Yep.
Everything here is light tight.
Yep.
So you've got your pre-bath. Pre-bath softens up the backing on the film. Backing removal, which is scrubbers, jets of water.
Pre-bath, this is for the rem jet.
That's right, yeah. Sorry, rem jet or backing removal, depending. That will soften it. Yep. The buffers and water jets that we have in here.
Yep.
Wash off the rest of it. It then goes through into the developer. You've got 4 racks in the dev.
Yep.
Stop tank, stop wash, and then once you get to this stage, you can white light and you can see the film.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So we're actually chasing it through now. So if you look here, what we got is the leader, which always have to have something in. And if you come up here, here's the film.
So this is a fully finished roll that somebody shot.
Yeah, this is a feature film going through right now.
Amazing.
So that's going through and being chased by the leader.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever we're running, we always have to finish with the white leader so that the machine, otherwise you'd be lacing it every time. So that goes off through.
So this is again the same film that was just developed through here.
Yeah, it's coming all the way through.
Gotcha. And this is basically the entire thing.
Yeah, this is it. So what it's doing here, Eric, comes down.
Yep.
And it goes into the dryer. So this is drying it like a big hair dryer, drying the film. You see over here, you can see the images on it. So it's now fully processed. You can see all the image work going on there.
That is amazing.
And you'll see the elevator going up where Clive, the other end, is doing his change. Yeah. So in between each job, there's always a bit of leader. This is where we cut it. So we never cut a picture frame.
Yeah.
You know?
So basically, we started at that end.
Yeah.
Go through the whole process to here.
Through the dryer, up, all the way back over at the top, and then back off to the.
Begins and starts right there.
Yeah, exactly. So it starts and finishes there.
Yeah.
So if you take it back down to Clive, you'll see he's got one. Clive's taken off the work now, so there's the elevator going down.
Yeah.
This is the last of the work coming off. And then you see there's no image at the start, and then there comes the image where the camera started rolling.
I think what's interesting about this is this looks just like a big mechanical version of what a lot of us do at home. I've developed ECN2 film at home, and I don't have all this fancy, giant room you got here.
Yeah.
It's the same thing theoretically,
Yeah, but you're dipping yours in a bath and then waiting, whereas this can do in a shift, up to 100,000 feet across a 24-hour shift. So it's a continuous. All these mags would be loaded, so every time one runs out, you stick another one up, and you take another one off. So over here, these are just what we run here, control strips.
Yeah.
So these what we do to read the bath. So we they're 21 step, make sure the bath is kept within.
That to me?
Yep. So
this is used for quality control, so your chems are still good. And
yeah, exactly. Well, it's making sure that our bath is within Kodak spec.
Okay, gotcha.
Because all the chemicals and everything are all made by Kodak.
Yeah.
So that is their reference strip that we use to make sure that we're doing our job right.
So they provide that to you with the chemicals. Gotcha.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then, sorry, Clive. And then this is a fresh roll that's just come off. So as you can see here, you've got camera black on the outside, and then you'll have.
Yeah.
We get to it. No action yet, and the action starts there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Amazing.
He took me to the darkroom so we can see how all of the exposed film gets prepped for processing. Imagine doing this job, you really gotta be careful because you can screw up something really, really badly. So the camera neg will come in. Well, the first thing we do is we make everything up onto these leaders. So these leaders are made of ester base, so they're unbreakable. I mean, you can tow a car with that stuff.
Gotcha.
It's the best stuff for
making tow a car with it.
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah, easy. Trim it, and then we put this in the splicer. As I said, normally all this is done in the dark.
Yep.
So then what we do, we remove the original film from the can, and because you can't see, we always do a test. So you look for the emulsion. So the emulsion has been a bit.
Oh, interesting. So I couldn't see you there, but
so the emulsion
what you just did was lick.
Yeah, no, just stick it on wherever side sticks.
Ah, okay.
The emulsion, because you can't see in the dark, right?
Yeah,
so we have to know what's what. So once we do that, we know it's emulsion out. We then proceed to just join the two together.
You're joining the leader here to the actual film that you got from the client.
Exactly. So this will be client's material.
Yep.
And then now what we're doing is we're winding and we're checking for damage from the camera by just feeling the perforations.
Again, all in the complete dark.
All in the complete dark. Yeah. And we just wind through, checking for imperfections, torn perfs.
You do this for the entire roll?
We do this for, if we've got 100,000 feet to run, we do it for every bit of it.
That is amazing.
Has to be done.
Yeah, of course.
So then into the splicer would go the end.
Yep.
Back in there, and then your next camera roll again. Check the emulsion. Join it up. Okay.
Yep.
So what that is a heat weld. So it's basically vinyl tape that gets welded on by like an iron.
Gotcha. So that's on there basically for the life of this roll.
That is there purely to get it through the bath.
Oh, so you cut it off again later.
Yeah. Then once we come out of here, we can drop the rolls back into their original cans.
Understood.
So there, all we do then was we just put lead on the outside.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is basically now we're still dark.
Yeah.
So what then we can do is we can drop it into the magazine, and then we poke through here.
Is that leader? Is this help at all with the light, just in case there's any accidental leak, or is it just strictly just for?
No, it's strictly just for lacing in and out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't protect anything from light.
Gotcha.
That's, you know. So then the mag lid will go on. And once the mag lid is sealed, like so, that's then ready for processing. As I say, the only thing sticking out is the leader.
Just a little bit of leader. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
So these are fully developed, dry,
fully developed, ready for the next step. And the next step would be in here with Derek. And then Derek, Eric.
Hey, how you doing, Derek?
Camera, it can go out of rack. You know, when the film does.
Yeah.
So Derek will re-rack it, basically prep it all, and then get it into the cleaning room. Anything to add on that, Del? The reason for it in here is for it to be ready for scanning. They couldn't scan it straight from the processor because they would be handling the negative again. So in the same way that I put the white stuff on in there, Derek uses what we call, this is what we use for scratch testing, just old stock. So Del will use this, top and tail it, so that when they're lacing in the machines, they're not touching physical frames of film, they're just using what we call junk.
Makes sense.
All right, now that our negatives are fully processed and ready to go, it's time to hit the scanners. Scanning is obviously a very important part because that is how you get a positive image from your negatives. Let's go ahead and talk to the chief of CINELAB, who's going to walk us through how all of this film gets scanned.
So after we've processed the film, the next stage beyond processing the film is turning it back to something that we can work with, which means digitizing the film to create files that you can then put on your PC and work in Avid or Final Cut Pro or Premiere or whatever. So that's really the first stage, and that's at that stage that we then start to see what the pictures are that are captured on film. The bit that's really, really important for people to understand is that even though we digitize it, it ends up being digital, the nuances of how it was captured and what film looks like is still captured in that digital image. And that's what some people struggle to get their head around. It's like, well, if you're going to digitize it anyway, why make it on film in the first place? But you can genuinely show someone something on a mobile phone that's been shot on a film that looks different to something that's shot digitally. So in this world, we've got lots and lots of scanners. These are, you know, the Spirit 4K, an industry sort of benchmark scanner for probably the last 15 years. This was a 4K scanner that was made in the mid-2000s, well before anybody knew what 4K was. It's, you know, still used extensively. However, we do have updated versions of these. So the Scanner T is really the latest generation of the Spirit 4K, made by the same company. This is used, it's a really, really high-end 4K scanner. Scanner T, this is an HDR scanner, it'll scan 4K resolution. For a lot of the bigger studio features, they'll do what's referred to as a scan once workflow. So we'll only scan the film once, it all gets scanned at 4K. The 4K uncompressed source materials will go off to the VFX guys so they can start working on VFX on that content straight away. What we'll also do is put it through a dailies process to create the editorial files that then go into post-production for the creative editing to work out what out of the original source material is required for the final cut.
So what kind of file sizes are we talking here for, let's say, you know, 10 minutes of film, 35 millimeter?
So a single frame of 35 mil scanned at 4K. At 10-bit, it's about 50 megabytes. At 16-bit, it's 75 megabytes.
Interesting.
So data rates, we're talking about 1.5 gigabytes a second for uncompressed 4K 35 mil film.
The way you phrase it in terms of one frame being that megabyte size, I think that's really interesting for photographers, especially to think about.
And if you think in TV terms, what we all grew up with was standard def television, and digital standard def TV was 1 megabyte a frame.
1 megabyte.
So you're dealing with 4K content that's 50 to 75 times the amount of data compared to a standard def frame.
That's amazing. So you think, I guess personal opinion here, but you think like YouTube and watching things on your phone, does that do justice to the visual qualities of film?
I think it does now, and I think it does more than TV was doing when we did that transition from standard def to high definition.
Interesting.
You know, and bear in mind, you know, high definition came out sort of late 2000s, sort of 2007, 2008 in the UK was when the first HD channels were being delivered. And for terrestrial transmission, there was a limited bandwidth available.
Gotcha.
So, they had to try and contain it.
Yeah.
And it, just created a problem for it.
Yeah.
But we've moved on a lot. We've got 4K streaming services.
Yeah.
And now you've got people going back to it going, well, that's part of the nuance, that's part of the aesthetic of that look of that film.
Yeah.
And we want to see it. We want to see it in its, its true original glory. So this is just
becoming now.
So some recent Super 8 work that's gone through the lab. Super 8 is really the easiest way to shoot film. You're buying a cartridge that's 20-25 pounds for a cartridge of film. Doesn't last very long. It's only about 3 minutes worth of material, as you found out recently shooting this stuff. But the cameras, again, these cameras, they're 30-40-year-olds cameras now, but they're very mechanical with some optics on them. They take batteries to drive the motors, but they're pretty straightforward. They're pretty simple. Made really, really well. This is a 1977 Bolex. These were expensive.
How old was the one I borrowed? Do you
that was probably late 70s.
Similar?
Yeah. The one that you'd borrowed. Really, really easy. As an entry to film, the cartridge basically goes in here. I won't put this one in because it's covered in tape from the lab.
Sure.
But it literally, you pop that in, shut the lid, and then you can start shooting.
And it's daylight tight. That's something I didn't know.
Absolutely. So the cartridge, all that happens when you take the cartridge out of here is you'll fog the 4 or 5 frames that are exposed.
Yeah.
And often people quite like that. When it gets transferred, you get the stuff where it fogs out, you get the burnout, you get all the sort of vibrant colours that come off it at that point. But it's a really, really easy introduction to filmmaking. You can buy a Super 8 camera for like $30, £30.
They're really cool now. It's been a resurgence.
Invariably, they were looked after. This one's a little battered because this is our sort of lab camera, and this gets used for running out films and stuff.
Gotcha.
But tremendous resurgence in this. We're scanning this on the same Scanity scanner that's scanning the biggest 35mm Hollywood studio features. So, that's really interesting.
So for some perspective, because I think part of the thing that people ask about is the cost.
Yep.
A cartridge of that, I think I paid £30 for the 500T or something.
Yep.
What are we looking at then for dev and scanning? And you can give me a range. Yeah, I guess I could go on your website.
It would be really, it would be fair to say most of our work's aimed around professional use. It's not really geared up for consumer. So back in the day when this was much more of a consumer format, you'd be able to send it off to labs, and there would be loads and loads of labs around that would do it, and they'd have really, really small processors that would just process 50 foot of film, and it would be really, really slow, but it only used a small amount of chemistry. And often you would find labs that would process and scan it, and you'd end up with like a standard def copy that was almost, the film was put on a film projector, projected on a wall, videoed back, and that's what you got back.
That's what you were looking at,
And it's also the reason why people sort of associate Super 8 with being really poor quality. In that what they only ever saw of it in the 70s and 80s was a relatively low...
scans back in the day just weren't...
Low resolution copy of it. We're scanning this at 4K resolution on a £500,000 scanner.
There you go.
So in terms of cost, because we have to get onto that bit, we charge £100 for processing and scanning at 4K a cartridge.
Okay.
So, it's 130 quid for 3 minutes worth of material. That's quite expensive. Much cheaper to shoot Super 16.
Interesting.
But you're not going to get a Super 16 camera for £30.
No, those are thousands of pounds.
So, that's really where the challenge is between the economics of these. But the bit that's really important about it is we're showing it now in a quality that people have never realised or associated with Super 8. That's really what the big difference is between now and 30 years ago. Even though the cameras are the same, the stock's got better, to be honest, than the stock's been at the level it's been at for the last 15-20 years, and it's much better stocks than were available 30 or 40 years ago as well. But fundamentally the technology is the same.
Now that we're on the topic of Super 8, I want to show you something that I created with the Super 8 camera. This is shot on 500T, and it's a combination of digital footage and Super 8.
Here with my guy Ribsy from NY. Check. Yo. Say we gone far, but we gone where, bro? Might get stereotyped like a sombrero. Gotta stay alert, yeah, you gotta stay aware. Yo, we're searching for clarity, cause things stay unclear, though it's clear that I may still have a way to go. I'm losing my hair, I may take Jada's role. It's a G.I. Jane joke. They say it's not funny, but who's saying so? Laying low for a long time. Man, I'm trying to make the song cry. Wanna see a deluge without letting hell loose, cause if I went that route, I'd be out my wrong mind. But who are we to judge when I'm in the devil's playground? Build up the shit that we say we gotta take down. Once Lizzie's late, we shouldn't even make crowns. Trying to rise vibrations, they're trying to make sounds. Wait now, yeah, you still didn't know I'm of the ilk. Well, I ain't been...
So I guess after looking at that very, very other end of the scale, we probably should go and have a look at some 65.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it.
65's super, super large. I mean, it's you know, it's 8 times the width of Super 8 film, funnily enough.
I feel like we're going into a space machine.
This is one of 5 machines that exist. This is the only one that's in Europe currently.
Where's this produced?
So this is made in Germany. It's made by the same company that made the Scannerties and the Spirit scanners. It's different from a technology perspective because this is pin registered, so it advances the film a frame at a time. It's then stationary in the gate. It then exposes the film with red, green and blue light, and you're seeing the green light from the LED here, through a set of optics into a sensor here, and this is a 12K phase 1 CMOS sensor here. Super, super slow. It takes about 2.5 seconds to scan a single frame.
One frame, yeah. Is it taking just one single exposure, or are there?
No, so it takes multiple exposures. So what it's doing is it's exposing it red, green, and blue. Primarily for the different wavelength, you know, within the neg, and then recombining that to create your color image. 65 mil. Traditional 65mm will be 5 perforations, so 35mm normally is 4 perf, although we'll shoot 3 perf and 2 perf that uses less film. Natively, it's a 2:6:6 aspect ratio frame and 5 perforations high. 65 is reassuringly expensive. This film costs £1 a foot.
Wow.
Or
and a foot is what? How many frames? Like 8?
Foot is 12.8 frames. Wow. To be precise.
So half a second of footage.
Half a second of footage for £1.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You're basically scaling up everything.
But you're scaling up everything.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about standard def being 1 megabyte a frame, as we were used to on TV back in the day, HD typically got between 8 and 12 megabytes a frame. At 4K, we're between 50 and 75 megabytes a frame, depending on whether it's 10-bit or 16-bit, and that's just the amount of quantizing, you know, levels that we apply to the image. With this 12K sensor on here, a frame can be up to 500 megabytes a frame. So we're now dealing with something that's 10 times the size of a 4K frame. What you're seeing here is a 1,000-foot roll. You've got probably about 600 feet of film on the left, 400 feet on the right. So as I said, the stock itself is £1,000 for a 1,000-foot roll of stock. When we process it and scan it, we're typically charging around £700 a roll. So you're talking about £1,700 for the stock processing and scan of around 10 minutes worth of material. And they're also shot 65 IMAX. So the difference between 5 perf is, you know, the image is you know, traditionally framed across the frame.
Exactly.
And it's a very, very widescreen image. IMAX uses 3 of those frames and it shoots horizontally. So it's a 15 perf image. Costs 3 times the price to do the same amount of material.
Exact work,
roughly putting it into perspective, you're talking about £200 a minute for shooting 65 5 perf. You're talking about £600 a minute to shoot on IMAX.
But this, you know what I love looking at this for is that it really puts into perspective this idea of camera scanning. I wouldn't say it's a controversy, but there's a lot of arguing about which method is better, and some people say camera scanning film is like, it's just dumb. It's, you know, why would you do that? But what a scanner is, a sensor that's capturing the image, like just like a camera has one. So if anything, this proves that like it's worth investing in trying to finesse that, you know?
The big advantage this has is we're in complete control of how long it takes to scan that image to get the best results. So whereas when you're taking a photograph, you're limited by, you know, the light that's available, the exposure time that's available to get that photograph that you need there and then. At this stage, we've got, you know, from a studio perspective, the control to be able to take as much time as we need, to spend as much time with the exposure, and to make sure we capture the full dynamic range that's been captured on the film in the first place. And you know, that's as well going back to the, you know, the point about, you know, film's been around for well over 100 years, and it wasn't. You know, it's no surprise that it's continued to be available because it's actually been quite a reliable format, but it's got massive, massive dynamic range. The comment around resolution on a film, you know, very much it's limited by the scanner because it's often the digital technology that's been the sticking point as to what you can resolve out of film. If you think of films that were released 20, 30, 40 years ago, we saw them on TV because they were remastered in SD. Then we took exactly the same film and we remastered it in HD. Now we're taking those films and we're remastering them in 2K and 4K. And it's the same film that was shot 30 or 40 years ago.
So I know this video is all about using film for your motion picture images. However, a lot of big companies and Hollywood movies are obviously still shot on digital. But there's one thing they do that's pretty interesting, and that is convert their digital image onto film. It sounds exactly like what it is. You take your digital output and you project it directly onto film, creating a film version of your originally digital image.
So what we have here is, on the left-hand side, we have a reel of, this is actually original camera neg stock, so it's 5207, which is 250 daylight camera neg stock. The ARRI laser effectively is a camera. It's pin registered, so it advances the film a frame at a time, and the aperture here where the film's sitting in is exposed by a red, green and blue laser. So this is sort of similar technology to the printing machine that we saw just now, but this is about taking digital data and recording it back to film rather than taking it from a picture negative and recording it onto print stock. And effectively there's a red, green and blue laser that sit in the deck plate of this machine. There's loads and loads of mirrors, there's loads of prisms. It's modulated and deflected by a prism that rotates at very, very high speed.
So basically anybody can reach out and say, we just edited our digital project, we want you to print it to film.
Yeah, so historically what these were made for really was for making intermediate negatives that would have then gone into printing to make the prints that would have gone out to the cinema.
So lastly, we get to talk to the Chief Technical Officer of CINELAB, who walks us through how to keep consistent looks across each different type of film stock.
So effectively, when you put the film on the scanner, so say we put a roll of 250D on it, the scanner recognizes that we put 250D on it, it loads that scanning preset and it scans it to our settings. And we've optimized those settings based on our photochemical process and our baths, so that we know that when anything that we're scanning that's come through our baths, we're getting the most out of those scans that's physically possible.
Gotcha.
You know, by having everything happen under one roof, we're able to check things. So it's like, you know, if we process something and we scan it and, you know, we notice anything, we can check that internally, we can fix it, we can sort it out before it goes somewhere else. Whereas often the process is like, you know, you get your film processed, you put it in a box, you send it to another facility who scan it and then might start processing the dailies off it, in which case they notice that, you know, there's a scratch or a fluid mark or something. It's like, okay, you have to go all the way back to the source and run that chain again. While as, you know, literally the guys take something off, they take it out of the baths, they run it through the ultrasonic cleaners, it hits the scanners. This is all like, you know, probably within an hour of the film being developed. And then, you know, the guys are like, all right, we've got to do this. And then they'll rerun it through the ultrasonic cleaners. And that time, that can be lost by sending this film to multiple different like facilities. It's just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. You know, we have digital jobs that are shooting digital on film, and our turnaround times are the same. You know, everything is basically an editorial by the following morning. You know, it's you know, it's synced, graded. You know, we've created editorial media. We've basically done a full dailies delivery of the film and the digital in the same sort of shift, and that's the advantageous part of having everything happen in one facility.
Yo, many thanks to CINELAB. I really want to thank them for bringing me out and hosting me and developing all that footage for me. And of course, lending me a Bolex camera as well, because I don't have a Super 8 camera, so I use one of theirs in order to shoot my footage. I also want to tell you to go look at the links down below. CINELAB does a lot of community stuff, and right now they're hosting a Super 8 competition where basically you make an entire movie end to end in one cartridge of Super 8, all edits in camera, nothing digital at all. So go ahead and check that out. You can see movies from last year. I looked at a couple of them and they're pretty amazing. So I definitely recommend you go check them out. All right, y'all, that's it for today's video. Until the next one, I'm out.